me. I make stupid puns all the time.
You hear a lot of sides. That's true, yeah.
The man does not want to play Soraka, but it's available.
Maybe it's just a mind game, you know? He's just trying to act like he doesn't want to play Soraka. But really, he's here for it. Karma first pick could be, you know, if they're going towards that, it's honestly a three-way flex. So I do think it's pretty strong. It's one of the reasons that a lot of people were kind of asking, you know, why is Karma getting banned instead of Janna? If Janna roaming Smite top is better, well, Karma actually works really well with Ezreal bot. You can even play it mid in supportive styles if you want to have a carry jungler. Yep. So early picking Karma, very powerful. Cloud9, I think, has been making a lot of use out of flex picks, right? Yeah. And this is something that they did yesterday with their kind of flex on the early Aurelia pick. They've done this with one early Enchanter pick and then, you know, grabbing a second one late in the draft to really kind of round it out. It's going to be interesting to see if they match the rest of the roles, you know, here on the Immortal side. They are going to go support, so we know it's unlikely, unless it is Karma support, then they could grab Ezreal and we could have a jungler picked up here for Xerxe and then kind of have parity in those first three picks. But interested to see where Cloud9 takes us.
Yeah, I am really curious because it's almost going to be the 100 Thieves special from the beginning games of Summer Split last year, where it was Abadaga on a bunch of Karma games, and
a lot of people
actually it worked out.
Backing Cloud9 there, 95% off of 2 picks. Wow,
the congregation is out. You know, I like that. Flex pick Karma. We're just so much about it. You know, good. Yep. Always like the Renekton hover. LS. I think that's a smile behind the mask right there. It goes over to Aatrox. Yeah, there's the. I mean, honestly, they've already got Xin Zhao. It's not going to happen right here. Just going through a bunch of champions. He has played some of those, right? Fudge's Lee Sin actually quite clean.
Was really good, yeah. His top Lee Sin was obviously quite popular for a while. It would be exciting to see something like this, but I doubt we're going to get it. You know, if you're going to match roles, it feels like Ezreal makes a lot of sense.
Called it.
You know, that is one of those super strong duos. So very likely it does mean that it is Karma Ezreal bot lane. Of course, this does not guarantee it. You know, they have not been a team to actually do the Smite top stuff, so maybe they're not interested in it at all. But you could, of course, still grab another support, you know, in the last couple of picks, and then surprise, Summit's playing this top, or surprise, Fudge is actually bringing this out as a new enchanter in the mid lane. But I'm expecting that this is just bot lane. We have parity in the draft so far through the roles. So a little bit of focus on solo lane is going to be coming out from both sides. You know, banning out some of the kind of classic PoE picks. Syndra is a big one for him. Ahri is something that has really rose in popularity since the little mini rework or whatever you want to call it.
Yep. And it was C9's first ban, right? Cause like, this is not one we're letting have. He played it even beforehand, as you mentioned.
And PoE has been tweeting about it, you know, posting, you know, screenshots and stuff of him popping off on it. So it's an obvious one to take away. Viktor is kind of conspicuously absent from the pick and ban. But I would say of the meta champions, that was Fudge's most comfortable one. So if they wanted to just go a standard meta mid, you could actually take Viktor here. It's pretty strong. It's a takeaway from PowerOfEvil as well. Of course, there are things like Orianna and Azir and whatnot that are available.
Here you go, buddy. We got an Iron hover. Thank you, Berserker. Yeah, I want to, you know, and he's
I
like,
will not be baited.
Yeah, if I was like, yeah, I like that one. Give me that one. Zilean comes through.
I think it's Zilean support.
Okay.
That is actually my bet, is that we are going to have Zilean support because it is more popular in that role. Yes, everyone thinks of Bjergsen mid playing it, but he's the only mid laner in major regions that's actually playing it. We've seen Hillsong as well as a few other people in LEC have actually brought it out in support. And as far as solo queue goes, I've been seeing a lot more Zilean Emax support lately. If you think you're against not a super strong lane, you can actually scale incredibly well through this, and you kind of just, you know, try to survive that lane. The gank assist is actually really good. You can play well with your jungler. Again, though, it could be a flex pick, and Cloud9 is highly prioritizing that. Because really, you don't know. Is this Summit's Karma top? Is this mid lane, you know, Zilean? Is it actually a Karma bot? Is it a support Karma? Like, you don't really know what's going on for sure.
Both champions are in any one of those three lanes right now, like realistically. Now, personally, I will say I do not like Zilean support right now because I think Jinx LEona is a good lane, and Ezreal's 1v2ing because Zilean is instantly dead if he's ever in range of flashing from LEona.
I will say, if you go Guardian and you start, you know, Relic Shield, it's actually like relatively hard with Bone Shield and stuff to be able to actually 100 to 0 the Zilean. You do become relatively tanky. With those builds, you often have to grab a tier or something and kind of supplement your mana. But I do think there's ways around it. And we're going to find out exactly where they want to go. Malphite would be a great pick into the Jayce as far as the 1v1. It's Viego as well.
Wow.
So it is going to be Summit playing Malphite top. And will it be Zilean mid? That feels most likely to, as the pairing, you know, with the Karma Ezreal makes the most sense spot. So bringing out a new pick here for Fudge. Zilean, I do think, is actually really hard to play well. I think the laning phase is extremely poor in mid lane. This is one of the things that you have got to be really adept at. It's so easy as an inexperienced Zilean player to actually mess up your own farm with the bombs. You have to be on point with that in the early levels. Once you have enough AP, yeah, brain is kind of off. You just throw a bomb in on your own minion, then you double bomb and it kind of kills everything. But in the early levels, we're gonna have to see how good Fudge is at this champion. But I think they've built a really strong composition, one that is very difficult to pin down, one that can kite back, one that can hard engage. Zilean pairs really well, with the Xin Zhao as an aggressive pick. It also makes it almost impossible to actually dive on and kill the Ezreal, who's already very slippery if you have the revive for him as well. So this is going to be a super interesting one, whereas on the other side, Immortals obviously playing a much more standard comp. You have two super powerful team fighters here with the Viktor, with the Jinx, the Jayce for kind of that early pressure, somewhat of a revenge popular pick, and one that he can play pretty aggressively.
It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to see what happens in each of these lanes. Keep in mind, we've got some name synergy in the top lane, Summit on a malphite. You're stacking that one together already. We're hoping for Mountain Soul to even keep it all going. I think that'll be fun to look at. I will say, Zilean to me is an enchanter mid laner. This is 3 for 4 for enchanters for Fudge. He is there to supplement his teammates. I think Zilean quintessentially hits that mark, right? Bunch of teammate buffs, a little bit of CC, a little bit of everything else going on there. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We saw those tweets. Immortals looking for a little alcove date, but Cloud9, nah, sorry, we got a Viktor dinner plans.
That's very funny. So, some shenanigans potentially up on the top side. You can see on the mini map, Immortals sending 3 players top. They were just trying to see if Summit would actually be camping in the brush. Summit, very standard stuff when you're going malphite into ranged carries. You do often go Comet, you Q-Max. This is kind of how you poke them down. Revenge is not going the defensive option of second win plus D-Shield. A lot of players do like that because it just kind of negates all of the poke damage that malphite can put out early. He's instead going for the other option of just buying a lot of potions, right? You go Longsword 3-pot, you just get that to kind of get you through those earlier stages, and then you're saying your secondary runes are going to be more powerful and more useful later on. So we'll have to track how he does. Because I do think while Jayce can bully in the early levels, once malphite gets some armor, once he gets some levels under him, it's very difficult to continue pushing that wave and continue having threat. And post 6, if the jungler's there, you are dead unless you flash the malphite ult. So I do always really like this pick for malphite players. It's one of my favorite lanes, and it's something that I think is just a lot easier to get value out of than the Jayce.
And Revenge is trying to sit around and make sure he knows what's going on. Then wants to play, of course, behind Summit. That ward is already there for him, so he can auto-attack him. And yeah, is going to pull ranged minion aggro, so I want to see how much damage comes through back at him because the casters are attacking. Keep in mind, there are more health potions for Revenge. He's able to get the melees for the most part. And Summit down to 1/4 mana already.
Yeah, and this is one of those things, because he had that early lane ward, it actually makes such a big difference in this matchup. And this is why you'll sometimes see teams with the melee champion on their side, they will actually send people top with a sweeper to sweep that brush, because that allows you to step in and out of the brush, not be getting constantly harassed. Generally you're playing mana flow band as the malphite in this matchup, and in kind of an ideal world, you have less frequent trades, and you can kind of just queue every time the mana flow band proc is actually ready, so you don't just hammer through your mana that fast. But as you can see, with the D-Shield, he is fine, and especially anytime you can recharge your passive between trades, it's going to go really well for you as malphite. You want to kind of just make sure you're not overextending and really getting hammered there.
Early lane, of course, going to go Viktor's way, though. Pretty much impossible to lose this lane as the Viktor in the heads-up one-on-one. I think it's like level 7 or so when Zilean gets comfortable wave clear. Gets to feel better. Revenge pushing in.
Oh, nice sidestep.
Yeah, that's 2 shock blasts in a row I have seen Summit dodge. Of course, chugs his final potion, will go back to nearly full health, and that's a cannon lost. Just could have ditched the melee minion and just saved the auto attack for that one. Was between cooldowns otherwise. Summit last hitting well enough, and the question is, does top lane crash at an appropriate time to dive this man?
Yeah, and I don't think that they're going to actually be there in time. Like, it looks like it's going to crash too early. You can see Xerxe on the mini-map. He's still actually clearing out his camps. He's still down here. He is moving up towards Scuttle, but he would have already wanted to be, in that brush basically for it. The kind of tracker here for me is not what the CS differentials is in solo lanes now. It's actually once the wave crashes, how much can you pick up under tower as the malphite, as the Zilean, because you are going to seed the push. There's just nothing you can do about it. But if you can keep it close, you're going to be feeling pretty good about your chances here. And It's really difficult, I think, especially as the Zilean, to actually be able to farm this out properly. Attack speed rune actually becomes incredibly important, because if you don't have the attack speed rune, you can't actually prep and last hit the range minions with your auto fast enough. So that is why a lot of Zilean players will still go towards that. And you got to really learn your damage thresholds on what HP is that bomb to be put to. We'll see if he can prep it with the E slow, but he's too low, I think.
Kiwi has no mana, so Fudge is pretty safe, but yeah, Blaber is going to land that one. It's going to hurt, so into the bottom lane we go, flashing to safety. Destiny wanted in, but it's going to be a flash out. Winsome going to stay alive. Berserker able to just arcane shift out, so both ganks kind of forcing flashes.
He's going to try to go back around, it looks like. Xerxe is holding here, but there is a ward. I'm not sure that he realizes that there is. And Berserker is playing back. Winsome is actually playing this smart. You play behind the Ezreal who still has his sums, and that's not gankable. That's only going to work, waiting around there. If Winsome steps back up to harass, then you get the wraparound, and that would be an easy kill.
Yeah, nothing happening down there. First Phreak comes through for Xerxe, though. Gets the first parts, and some decent damage, but again, Ezreal relatively safe. Thankfully, with a wave, it's always going to be safe for Immortals. Looks like Berserker holding Arcane Shift for a while. Winsome sidesteps a zap, and gonna be fine. Small gold lead to Immortals. I want to point out a quick stat, by the way. Guess Immortals' highest gold lead so far this season.
I mean, at what? At any time?
At any point in time.
Is it this right now?
395.
Okay.
Their highest gold lead at any point in time in any game they have played has been under 400 gold.
If they get a kill right now,
they will set their record for 2022 LCS for gold lead.
It's not a good stat.
Yeah. Guess Cloud9's lowest gold deficit at any point. And keep in mind, they've lost the game.
Lowest gold deficit?
Yeah, like worst gold deficit they've ever had at any one point.
Oh, I don't know. 8,000 or something?
2,500.
Okay. That's actually, yeah, I was thinking of a different team. 2,500 2,500 was that first game, I believe, that they played.
Golden Guardians? Yeah, they dipped like 2,200 on that one. EG 2,400, Team Liquid 1,300. And that's the one they actually even lost, was like the very end they finally came back. So like Cloud9 tends to play games close to ahead. Immortals tends to play them close to behind, and then like has come back once.
It's interesting though, because Cloud9 has lost every single early game that they've played. Yeah. Right? Well, gold-wise, right?
Yeah,
I know people will be quick to argue, hey, they're actually game state, they're still ahead because they have these enchanters and whatever. But this will be interesting. They have the ward on Xerxe, and Winsome's here to support.
I need to nerd out about tech. I was going to bring up at the beginning of the game, and I was like, no, he's not going to do it. Summit went Warden's Mail. Thank you. Warden's Mail is so much better than Bramble Vest early on against auto attackers. Bramble Vest deals 3 damage back to Jayce. You're not poking Jayce out of lane anyway. That damage doesn't matter. It does nothing for you. Warden's Mail like blocks 12 damage per auto, which is absurdly good and actually guarantees you don't get pushed out of lane. Plus, you actually want the item it upgrades into, aka a Randuin's or a Frozen Heart. So, like, much, much better item. I haven't seen other Malphites go for this build yet. He might not be the first, but, like, it's the first I have seen. It is so much better. Please, everyone, if you're building tank and a Jayce, Warden's Mail is your item.
The only caveat I will give, if that's the best defensive item, and I'm going to agree 100% with that. But I do think sometimes what you actually get forced back to base on is your mana more than your health in these kind of lanes. And that's why sometimes you do see people just go like tier and they build towards Fimbulwinter, things like that, early on, or even just like a Glacial Shroud to be able to have a little bit of mana. But obviously incredible defensive item. And I do agree, the value of the Bramble Vest is more if you can actually find an all-in kill. If you can, find that, then the heal reduction becomes more valuable against Vamp Scepter. But in these cases, it's going to make him really hard to move. And Summit's kind of like already at the point where Jayce can't really do that much against him. Like he's actually just chilling, freezing the wave on him at this point because there's no wards. If you actually look at what the map is right now for Jayce, where's the furthest ward out that he has? It's literally nowhere. They have no vision on this entire section of the map. So he's got no idea where anything is in this area. And if you ever get ulted, like I said, you've got to flash it. So he has to play so far back. Anytime Summit moves forward, he must back up. And this is just really, really tough. Summit gonna give up the freeze. I feel like he should have just tanked that, to be honest, but...
Gonna straight line Bud. There you go, gets the knockback. He's gonna be fine. Doesn't take the W. Yeah, Revenge is gonna get out there, no problem. You saw Fudge look for the roam for a second and drops it. 10 CS difference in mid as PoE clears the wave in. Fudge will have to walk back. He'll lose some of it.
Yep. I think Summit was able to actually pull the wave back out. So yeah, he pulled it to the brush, so he still maintains the freeze. And he's essentially up in farm now. It's not showing it, but like he is once he actually picks up the rest of this. And you're going to be feeling pretty happy about this. And this is where it gets really, really difficult. Oh, excuse me. So he had already blown the flash. We missed that off screen. So that is what kind of prompted that next gank. I'm going to be able to get that out. But it does mean now Revenge really can't do much.
Yeah.
Just using the ult there to actually delay a recall is something that I think we're seeing a lot more of. Jinx using ult for scouting, Jinx using ult to just stop a recall, realizing that a lot of times in these earlier stages of the game, there's not a lot of action. It's not about a big team fight, so you can kind of get some small value from that.
And I want to keep my mind actually on the top lane play we saw. I was going to go to the replay because if there's no jungler, Revenge can just tank malphite ult, right? And just
but you don't know. He has no wards.
Right, and that's the point is back to your point about no wards is Revenge didn't have to burn Flash with full vision because he goes to half and then vamps back up and like no one cares. He burns Flash with like, oh, but if there's Xin Zhao, I'm dead. Has no way of knowing that because he has no coverage, and it's like, wow, I understand the play, right? From his POV, it makes sense as a play, but where are the wards? Like, where are the homies at? You know, like, give this man some vision so we can play up on the edge.
Well, and especially when they've actually had pushing lanes, right? The PowerOfEvil has had Fudge pushed in. See PowerOfEvil in trouble here. Does have a flash.
Well-aimed stun is going to keep him away from the jungler, but the stun's going to land as well. They get the follow-through, and that's going to be first blood on the board. Fudge claims it. Well done, Cloud9, 3v1 in mid.
Nice pressure there, and now, off of that, Fudge is going to be kind of off to the races. He already has his tier, already has his lost chapter, so he's kind of in that comfort zone. And credit to Fudge, you know, he's down a little bit of farm, but really he got through that kind of awkward early stage on the Zilean very, very well. And now he's just straight up ahead, going to be able to push this in, going to be able to reset on a really nice timing. Expecting it'll just be Everfrost. That's definitely the most standard. There's just so many nice setups you can do with it. You can root out of a double bomb. You can E-slow into Everfrost root into a double bomb. And a lot of nice combos are available there. And it will, in fact, be that Everfrost. So Cloud9 are in just such an incredible position, I think, in these early stages. With no flash on Revenge, with him already kind of, you know, at parity with the malphite, you are definitely very far behind as far as kind of where you would want to be in this game. Ezreal is also up 20+ CS. And Xerxe is just kind of chilling farming, hasn't really been able to find any angles because there are some pretty difficult lanes to gank for him. But it does mean that the team fights are going to be incredibly hard. Like, just to be able to actually take down the Ezreal ever is so tough.
Good flash by Winsome. Once again, Destiny able to force the flash out the opposing support. Haven't seen a dive work yet, but now we've got Xerxe on the way over. Mantra is ready for a bigger shield, but the wave gets cleared out. No dive just yet. A ward over the wall into the brush helps him know if there's going to be a defensive ward ever, but Fudge is now on the move. He's going to spot him. Information known now about Xerxe. Pee-wee coming back around for a 2-on-1, but not going to take that play either. Cloud9 able to still play under the turret. Blaber clears up the ward, and the coverage is there. Immortals, sadly, still have not found an aggressive play this game.
Yeah, they were trying to posture aggressively there, see if they could get some sort of a wraparound, some sort of a play, but not really able to find it. And I don't think this is actually going to work out for them if they go aggressive.
Aggressive hit, good stun there. Destiny incredibly low, forced to flash back over. A bit much for the Immortal squad. They look aggressive, and that one backfires right away.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they actually had eyes on the fact that Berserker completed his base, so maybe they got pretty nervous knowing that they weren't going to be able to get the initial kill. You know, Xin pops the ulti. He's going to be able to turn that around. Unless Xerxe wanted to full commit to it and like flash over the wall or ult over on him, they weren't going to be able to do that. Tit for tat, stop a recall with the Jinx ulti. Now one gets actually stopped here by the Ezreal. And Fudge just kind of chilling farming. When you get ahead of the curve, if you don't have a bad early laning phase on the Zilean, it becomes extremely trivial to actually farm this out. Full Frozen Heart already done now for Summit. Going to be really good against the Jinx, against the Jayce, against the Viego. So really high value on this. And that kind of solves his mana problem. So it's not going to be a Fimbulwinter game. You know, my guess is he is going to go into, you know, probably just like Tabbies. And, you know, you can go randoms if you want to be super efficient. But I do think that going towards Thornmail second actually does have quite a lot of value once you have some armor behind it. You can easily apply that, and it makes it really tough for the Jayce in the 1v1. You
apply some Grievous when you land your ulti, otherwise you don't get any empowered Grievous, but, you know, can be efficient otherwise against stacked AD. Looking at the top side against Summit, sidestepping Revenge's damage. A turret plate may have fallen. The Herald Summon will get 2 more as well, but worth noting that Summit actively ahead in CS in this lane, with very little help. Attention towards the bottom side. Going to be a lot of damage and nearly a kill. Winsome, we know he is flashless, and he is going to be healthless now as well. Immortals on the board. A Herald crash top. Working pretty well also. Blaber is going to find TP up defensively for Revenge if needed. Pee-wee the same. And sometimes for WildTurtle means no dive, but plate number 4 drops in the top lane, and Immortals have finally claimed back a gold lead.
Yeah, going to be up a little bit there, but still, things I think going pretty rough for them overall. C9's position in this game, I think, is just so good. They have multiple tiers stacking up. You know, the Essence Reaver's already through. Knockback there from Blaber, and trying to set up some sort of a play, but it doesn't look like it's really going to amount to much. At the very least, they deny the push-in, so Fudge collects a wave top, is able to come back mid and pick up another little bit of farm there. So almost fully caught up now with PowerOfEvil. I wonder if this is going to be a crown game from Berserker. It kind of feels like that build. You know, Essence Reaver, Muramana, go crown third. You can go Dustblade for a little bit more damage, but crown just has so much value in making it very, very difficult to ever get caught out and punished that I do think it's just kind of like the better option, right? The extra damage from Dustblade almost never really feels worth it to me.
Yeah, this is basically the defensive option, right? So Essence Reaver allows you a different mythic. It's you know, you're not going to go Lich Bane, so it's basically the only non-mythic Sheen option. The actual math of Essence Reaver versus, say, Trinity Force is like 160 bonus AD to make it as good as Triforce, which is, you know, 5-item Ezreal, which is like fairly unrealistic, right? So it is a lower damage build. That can be fine if your goal is infinite mana, crown for defensive, and now a chance at Destiny. Here's going to be rooted in place. Flash should still be down, and that means decent damage, half HP, but tanky enough that they're going to live. Zap and a Blaber, a ward kill. Top lane turret's going to fall. Bit of money comes back towards Immortals.
And I think it's actually really valuable to have that Essence Reaver just because mana becomes such a non-issue, especially when you're playing with another mana-hungry champion like Zilean. You know, Zilean, even with tier, no matter what build you want, you really do want blue buffs. You will get such high CDR that you're spamming out constantly, and you will go right? It can be a problem in some of these long team fights, especially late game, where your ulti cooldown is so long, you can sometimes get these multiple ultimates off in a long extended team fight. You've got to have the mana to be able to do that. So both champions going to be kind of fine, honestly, overall with the mana problems with this build.
And the wave clear keeps happening, honestly. Viktor scales reasonably well. Zilean, I will say, out-scales him in terms of just gets better and better and better as time goes on. I think he looks really, really good in late game team fights, as long as your team overall like has damage.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, I really look at Zilean as like a force multiplier, right? If you have someone that's doing really well or playing really well, it is incredibly valuable. It's one of my favorite mid lane picks. I like playing it a lot. But you need to have a carry that's doing well, and C9 do have that with Berserker. This guy has been getting so much attention for how well he is playing, how well he is positioning, how much damage he's able to get out in the team fights, and it's worth playing supportive style when you have these really strong carries. You know, Fudge talked about it with Blaber in an interview. I think Berserker as well is another guy that they're just building around very heavily. You know, it's malphite and 2 supports here, really, for Blaber and Berserker.
We watch them. We watch them closely. Make sure that Cloud9's comp is going to work out as time moves on. 330 gold lead right now for Immortals. Getting closer to their all-season record. If they can get a little bit more on the board. The question is, though, can they actually win this game against Cloud9? As sadly for Jayce, he hasn't gotten much done in his side lane. Has killed a turret. Has gotten Herald, so you can't really give him nothing for that one. But, you know, we're ready for a team fight malphite against triple AD, and that's going to look pretty good in most cases as he sees the entire enemy squad.
Yeah, I think a lot of it will come down to can actually Revenge land much poke prior to the fight. You know, if you can hit a couple shock blasts prior, then the AoE damage coming through, you know, from someone like the Viktor can be threatening, because Viktor does really kind of excel when you're hitting, you know, multiple targets, and then the Zilean has difficult choices about who to ult. When it is all single target damage and you're just trying to 100-0 one person, that's where Zilean's job becomes incredibly easy. So finding flanks, finding opportunities to where, you know, people are getting hit by Jinx rockets and Viktor lasers and all these things at the same time after being poked down is going to make Cloud9's job hard. But if it is just a straightforward walk at you kind of fight where it is 5v5 from full health, Cloud9 I think is going to excel so much in that sort of a fight.
Leveling up Berserker. Thank you for level 11 as they've brought Fudge in the mid lane. The whole squad is grouped to play towards the bottom side. They're going to be stacking their second dragon here, moving towards Hextech. The best Rift from ahead, the best Soul from ahead, IMO at least. Revenge has help from Xerxe, but it's not going to do much. Sorry, I should say Destiny, his teammate in that brush. But it wasn't Cloud9 trying to answer the Jayce. It was Cloud9 playing for the bottom side. And in fact, with all this control, with all this pressure, mid pushed in, summon second Herald, that is nearly the entire turret. Won't quite kill it, but it's going to be low, and on a future wave, they can knock that one entirely down. Dragon is now up, and with Immortals, 2 of them showing in the mid lane, have a chance of pushing it down early. They can reinforce.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to contest or not. I mean, malphite has unleashed TP, so I think it's risky unless you're super confident that there's no flanking wards whatsoever. So it looks like, yeah, the pings are going to be on towards that mid lane tower. The TP is coming through here. PowerOfEvil's got to be careful.
Looking. Summit is here. Double stun, good. Double flash, but that is still 2 summoner spells down. Mid lane turret under fire, but will not drop. and Jayce's wave was already pushed out very far. The fact is, Summit pushed top well beyond the outer turret before the TP, which meant there's no recompense for Jayce in the top lane. Yeah, his TP is up, but no one's going to care about that one. The turret's barely going to get crashed on, and someone's going to be there to grab the wave.
Yep, not going to get much damage down on the tower. Not enough time to even steal away that red buff, and now Revenge is dead.
Oh my gosh.
Way overstayed his welcome. They got to walk from Dragon Pit to topside, and you were still there, so Revenge going to give over an easy kill here, unfortunately, on the top side, donating that gold even to Fudge. That will buy them time to take down the mid lane tower, so maybe a little bit more worthwhile in that regard, and they get a couple camps off it. So Immortals do at least strike back with the pressure that he kind of created on that top side.
You get the biggest gold lead. 640, Immortals. Breaking records so far. We'll see if they can break ankles as time moves forward. The problem is, though, I don't know if Cloud9 feel uncomfortable at this game state.
No.
You know, they're 2 dragons right now, so not far from potential Hextech Soul, and Ezreal's going to be very soon to his Manamune, and we can see, hey, if you fight in the next 4 minutes, okay, 2.5 minutes, you got a flash with Viktor to kill.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for him. You can't really play without flash against malphite as a carry that doesn't have a dash. It's very difficult. Yep. You know, Jinx, sometimes you'll see people go into Gale Force just to try to dodge those types of things, but obviously this is a Kraken game.
Yeah.
Summit's going to have his Mythic before the next fight, and then we'll get to see, you know, does he want to go towards a Thornmail, or does he feel like he needs more MR and go towards an Abyssal or something like that, which can be quite strong. To kind of amp your own damage, as well as some of the magic damage from the Ezreal, the magic damage from the Zilean.
Yeah.
So definitely the options will come through after that, but Mythic's going to be coming in, you know, next item for a couple of these carries. You know, for Berserker, of course, he has his second item, so expecting him to be working towards Crown. And we'll see where they go from there, but Cloud9 is happy as long as they are playing this slow. You know, there is really good scaling as far as the DPS on the Immortal side, but I just think it's difficult for their team comp to actually really kind of match up against what Cloud9 has.
And I think Cloud9's happy looking at the scoreboard because PowerOfEvil's building Void Staff with no other AP threats on his team. The Viktor players out there, Lich Bane every time. Item got buffed. It is absurdly going to Viktor just to buy a Lich Bane. It's going to be correct in 99% of games. And PoE is not against a single MR item except one Null Magic Mantle.
Yeah.
There is one Null Magic Mantle. Void Staff is objectively wrong for Viktor in this game. He is the only AP threat, build for damage. You can reactively buy Void Staff once you're 6-0, but guess what? You're 0-1-0 with equal farm to a Zilean. No one's scared of you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that Lich Bane is something that's pretty overlooked. You know, ever since it got the ability haste, it is actually a lot stronger than I think people are kind of giving it credit for, you know, even just as a second item here pretty early. If you're worried about being able to close the gap with range, then I think sometimes, you know, it's arguable that you should just go a different AP item, a different modifier. You can go Cosmic and things like that. You know, or even build towards just Death Cap, but I agree, Void Staff is just not it in this game when there's so low MR. It's just doesn't really make any sense. You want to take advantage of the fact that they have stack armor.
Yeah. And Lich even gives move speed if you want to close the gap. I think Cosmic is good as well, by the way, don't get me wrong. I think if you're looking for a generically good second item on a mage, Cosmic's always fine.
Yep.
It's 30 haste, it's solid AP. If you're going to play any moderately long combat pattern, it's 100 AP when it stacks up. So, like, that one's fine in all cases. But yeah, in this case, I think, you know, Void is pretty horrifically terrible here. And that's going to be unfortunate because he's going to be power troughed for a very long time, spending 1,000 gold on basically no stats.
Longsword coming through from Berserker. So now I'm a little bit curious if he actually is going to go Duskblade. I definitely would not have expected it. Because Crown is so much more common. I'm not actually sure if I've seen a pro game where they went this build into Duskblade or not. You do see it in solo queue from time to time when people just want to kind of have that little bit of extra damage.
Yep.
And I mean, if your read is, I actually don't need any item safety because I have Zilean and Karma, then sure, okay, I buy that, right? If the onus is on you to get every little bit of damage, then maybe that's going to be worthwhile, but Crown really does often allow you to get more damage out because you can play so aggressively.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult. You know, you can shift in aggressively knowing that if LEona engages into Crown, the follow-up damage is not going to be there. You're not going to get 100 to 0'd before the Zilean and the Karma can react. So it's definitely a trade-off, but will be interesting to see if it's just a random longsword for like an Executioners or something then into Crown, or if it is in fact going to be Duskblade.
Yeah, I want to point out the possibility in the back of my head is Ruin King, which I actually went and researched before this weekend's game.
Skip Mythic.
I don't think it's Ruin King. It is not performant on Ezreal, even after the buffs in the patch. Any item slot, Ruin King is worse than replacement, so I don't expect that to be the build. But we got a fight now in the mid lane. Good ulti for Blaber, buys a lot of time, can't take any damage, and already Revenge down to 1/3 HP. Can they find the re-engage? Cloud9 haste him, flashes in, gets a slow, and that's going to be a bomb. That's Revenge dropping. Goodbye to the top lane. Cloud9 get ready to grab their 3rd dragon after that kill.
Immortals just scattered in different directions, and as soon as you split off there, Zilean, Karma will chase you down. So much speed ups. You have to stay together as a squad, or there's just no escape. And now Xerxe trying to wrap around here, see if he can get a steal, but it's just not going to happen. So Cloud9, they get an easy kill. They grab a 3rd dragon here. That was a nice try there from Turtle. Good timing on the rocket, but too little too late. And they didn't even need the malphite there. That was a 4v5. And because of the way Immortals actually played out the fight, Cloud9 still come out on top.
And so, slow and steady. Cloud9 are happy to say, hey, uneventful early game, maybe we're behind, doesn't really matter. Their mid-game team fighting's always been better.
Yep, they do find Blaber here, and they decide we're going to go in onto Blaber. They get him with the Chompers. They do engage, but really good buffer timing before LEona could stun him on the ultimate, knocking LEona back and really denying any sort of damage. And then as Xerxe's running off here, Turtle's running off to the side, there's no longer any threat, so everyone is just going to pile in the middle, get that chase down, get the initial kill, and now looking for this pick. Oh, nice root, though.
Yeah, danger towards Fudge, has the ulti self-cast, it, stun's not going to matter. Xerxe's going to get nothing done. Stop wasting the damage. Knocked into the air, he should drop as well. The bomb won't quite kill, but Blaber, wind becomes lightning, and Xerxe becomes 300 gold. Destiny's going to be found that his is just to die again and again and again. 1-4, soon to be Immortals record in this game. Maybe even in the season, as yes, Baron's on the table. That's going to be a pretty easy pickup for Cloud9.
Yeah, Cloud9 punishing heavily there. Really well played by Fudge. Heads up, Everfrost gets the root on the deep play. Revenge TPing in, though. They're going to try to fight for this.
PoE has some really good damage. Ulti's on, and that's a nice snipe. Turtle finds one. 2k health in the Baron. Should be smiteable, will be claimed. At least one kill back on the board. Immortals get something done. Blaber on the chase. He's got haste from one. Gets another one here. He's going to look for revenge. Look for the knockup. Ulti is on. There's the quick. Almost revive, and that's going to be well timed. Can they kill him back? Yes, they can. Well done, Revenge. That was beautiful. 2 kills now for Immortals. Can they get out? Summit.
Cloud9 are overforcing.
Ulti's in 20 seconds. They know they keep getting the movement speed. They can always get in and out as they want, but yes, the revive's coming in. Destiny's back on the map here, and it is going to be Cloud9 walking away, still with Baron in their clutches on 3 of the members.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be able to back it up, but that seemed like a pretty big chase there. Yes, they have the speed ups for Xin, but Summit committed his ulti to kill LEona so they could get the Baron, so they weren't really ready to go on the fight. And I think they should have kind of just taken their small win, backed it up, but they wanted to try to punish the fact that Revenge had no flash from that earlier kill on him. This time, though, really well played by Immortals. They kite it back, they wait out the revive timer, and they land the Shock Blast, and Immortals at least get a couple kills back, but it is Baron in the pockets here of Cloud9, and we'll see how much they can get done with this. This was the initial play, and really it's all about the initial Everfrost into the follow-up bomb. He catches Xerxe there and heads up play to drop the bombs behind the LEona. You have to stop the damage from Xerxe. The LEona doesn't really matter. And then, yes, the revive comes out very early, but I think it's smart in this position because you know you have reinforcements coming, so the only way it goes bad is if you get 100-0 in that CC. So the early ult prevents that, guarantees your teammates will arrive. Really smart stuff from Fudge, and he's turned in a very impressive Zilean game so far.
Yeah, and he's just stacking the haste, right? He's got the Cosmic Drive. He's on the way to Seraph's Embrace now as well. So those are going to be some spammed ults in these fights. He got a second one off. Unfortunately, Blaber still died. But, right, the fight started and ended with him ulting. Srolla's in for the Ezreal. Sure, yeah. I mean, your Q is slow. It is a solid item here. Yeah, it might be Crown 4th at this point. I think there's actually a version of the build I have seen, but we'll keep our eyes peeled. Again, if you are going for maximal damage, Triforce will spike harder than an Essence Reaver. It is a more expensive item, so if you're trying to get to, the Cyrildas earlier on, then you can go for the cheaper route like this. But regardless, doing just fine, clearly. Farming pretty well. We are 3 items on WildTurtle. Sadly, Rapid Fire Cannon is a very poor DPS option, so doesn't quite have the single target sticking power. Has the one decent rocket, but then that's all on cooldown, and he has to go back to regular attack range.
Yeah, and that's kind of what he's hoping for, though. Obviously, it's, it's a bit of a preference thing, trying to get, that long-range rocket auto, trying to get a crit, trying to poke people out a bit. But another pick, and they're happy to commit the ulti versus Destiny.
Destiny gets the W down, but he still dies through it. The damage is there as they lock him up for long enough. That is a dead support. 50 seconds till Dragon's Soul.
Yeah, he's going to be up for Soul, though, and I'm not sure if Summit will actually have his ulti back, so was it worth it? I don't know. I mean, with Hex Gates, can Destiny get there? I think he will.
Blaber jumping in, no Zilean ulti on him, but with the ulti he's going to be okay for a little while. Huge damage. Xerxe shows up and just drops right away. Fudge kites out away from Viktor, and now with a dead jungle, you have to believe this is almost a freebie. Cloud9 getting the spells back soon. Good sidestep, gets away from the rocket, and now we've got a fight towards the mid lane. Turtle chased down, killed by Berserker. Looks for the slow, can't quite find it. A minion blocks the shot, jumps over the wall, stays alive. Mid turret now at half HP. Blaber going to heal up against the camp. As the turret will fall, Cloud9 can always retreat back for the dragon. In the meantime, they crush the mid wave, they get the gold off the turret, and they're on the way over.
This game has just felt so in control for Cloud9. Even before this point, the goldie was not that massive, but at no point did it feel like Immortals had a chance in this game. Cloud9 have just been in full control. They are very clear about how they want to play it out, showing up for these objectives, no fear to commit their ultimates, actually killing off the support, because that guarantees them vision in the area. That guarantees them the next step. Multiple times, we've seen Summit commit the one-man ulti on a LEona, and it works out because they're playing well around it. Now, PowerOfEvil stepping forward, he's spotted.
Oh, they just jump in, deletion! Down goes one, looking for two here. Xerxe showed up, back in the same jungle he died, and there's kill number 10 on the board. Fudge shows the Cloud9 flare, does a flash for nothing. All right, yeah, keep the KDA, and that is another death under revenge.
Oh my God, the stop move, the flash in place, the flare.
Yeah.
These people have families, Fudge.
Yeah, well, Fudge is talking a lot of smack for an enchanter-only player. So I don't know how much you want to hear from it, buddy, but it is going to be a man with some good teammates. Spams the Cloud9 flare. Thank you for the other 4 for getting me over the finish line. 3-0-7 for the Zilean, and it's time for the turrets to fall. A bit of spam for Fudge. Yeah, that's not how that works, bud. You still die. It's pure damage out of the fountain laser. All right, KDA still remains 10 for the champion. 12-3 on the scoreboard. Cloud9 absolutely demolish Immortals. And hey, service continues on Sunday. They add the deaths. The Nexus falls. Well done, Cloud9.
Man, they are just having some fun with it at the end. Flashing the emotes, flashing in place, going for the fountain dives even.
Yeah.
Cloud9 styling on him here today. This one was not close. And as much as you're kind of joking about Fudge and just playing the tiers, he played a really good Zilean game. Zilean, I think, is a hard champion to play. He got through the laning phase well, handled that top lane fight really, really well. But more importantly, I feel like this was the most controlled, most impressive game that Cloud9 have actually turned in. To me, this looked like the strongest performance they have had. They have had some really interesting strategies. Obviously it was cool to see the Ivern mid, the Soraka mid, but they fell way further behind in the earlier stages there, and it felt like they were more relying on their opponents making some mistakes in these river fights to really capitalize on. And then they did incredible jobs with that. In this one, I never thought Immortals had a chance. It felt like start to finish, all their lanes were going very, very well. The flash forced on a revenge early on top side. Summit's holding a freeze, even or ahead in farm pretty early on.
Yeah.
And Fudge was able to hold up very, very well. He was down a little bit of farm early. They get that one kill. Then he's actually ahead in gold at that point. Berserker's chilling. Their comp is really, really strong scaling forward. Their setups for dragons were really good. Like, Immortals never had a chance to contest. There's not much to nitpick here, really. Like, this was just such a good game across the board from Cloud9.
Yeah, the bot lane won 2-on-2, and that was with Xerxe showing up, right, getting a flash force up the Karma, and then Winsome was like, I'll just play out of Hex Flash stun range. Like, it's fine, no big deal. So they won heads up there, got the Roman in mid. That worked really well. And Summit obviously did amazingly top lane. Again, Warden's Mail. Warden's Mail against Jayce, it'll help you a ton, just saying. Now, it's been a